And we're rolling. I'm here today with Kaylon Lambert. Kaylon is he's a comedian. He's also the one of the founders of the Laughs at Kaks Comedy Night. Him and John Renier. I always botch his last name. Renier. Yeah. Kaylon's been doing comedy for about 6 months here. But Kaylon, I'm going to let you do the intro here. Actually, just give the audience a little bit of a summary of you.
Yeah, my name's Kaylon Lambert. Yes, like as Shawn said, I have been doing comedy for about 6 months now. I got my first opportunity at the Laugh Shop, and it's been the best thing that I've gotten into. And I finally just recently got into, being able to bring a new show to the Calgary scene, which I think this comedy scene needs. And the venue that we have that Shawn and Cass have provided us has been great. And honestly, the feedback that we've gotten from the show, especially from the other producers, has been huge. So, thanks for you guys for giving us an opportunity, and like the Calgary community, like comedy community, for a spot to do shows, because like I said, it's needed. And yeah, we feel like we got some here. So
yeah, everyone be sure to come down. We do it every Thursday, 7 p.m. doors open, 8 p.m. show starts. Sometimes it runs till 10, sometimes it runs only 9:30. It depends on how many comics there are and everything like that. It's only $5, guys. So definitely swing on down and support your local comedians and support us, Kaks Bar and Podcast.
No, absolutely. And like the best thing about it is that we were just chatting before, is that like, we pride ourselves on bringing like a fresh collection of, Calgary's brightest comics, and, even newbies. We had a newbie last week who did a great job. So, it's all about, just having people come on. And yeah, the best thing was that, seeing everyone just respond greatly to it. But Kaks Bar and Podcast, Laughs at Kaks. Come check it out. It's awesome. It's a fun time.
Fuck yeah. Let's get to know Kaylon here, because the reality is, Kaylon, like we've worked together now as far as, in communications as you put the event together and everything. But like I still haven't like gotten to know you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I actually, funny, there was a girl that came by the bar. She was about 2 weeks ago, and she was from Lethbridge. And apparently, like she brought up, she's like, "Oh, you know Slayville?" And I was like, "Oh yeah. He puts on the comedy show." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm from Lethbridge." Or like, "I know him from Lethbridge." I forget her name, man. I'm not gonna lie, but I remember her saying, she's like, "Yeah, that guy's always been like ridiculously funny. I'm glad he's like pursuing the comedy now." And then I was sitting there like, "Oh man, that's awesome." And I told her to come down. She's a brunette girl. She's the same age, long, like kind of skinnier. Long brown, straight brown hair. I don't know if that rings a bell. Has tattoos.
Dude, like, I don't know.
Am I describing half the women in your life?
Yeah, like, definitely got a type. But it's not even that. But like, I've always done a great job with just getting along with everyone. Like tapping on what she was saying. Like, with being a funny guy. Like, I always feel like I've tried to be a class clown, try to be a funny guy, but like never been the life of the party, because like I have never really liked that much light on me, which is weird to say because I'm on stage and then the brightest light is on me, and I'm writing jokes to try and make everyone laugh and like get some approval. But I think that just like came from me being really shy growing up, and like being kind of like extrovert, but then I broke out of that shell. But yeah, is kind of funny how everything just like turned out. And yeah, like she was saying, like I feel like I've been a funny person, and going into the comedy over the last 6 months has
ramp things up for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you always been called Slayville or something? Because she literally referred to you as Slayville.
Yeah.
Like, so where'd that name come from? That's his Instagram handle, by the way.
Yeah. If you guys want to catch any of my dates or just see like what I'm up to, I don't have a comedy or a personal separated Instagram. It's literally at Slayville, SLAYVILLE. And then like the Laugh at Kaks podcast Instagram, it's Laughs at Kaks Comedy Show. That's where we do all the updates, all the announcements, special shows, We'll start getting into like giveaways, all of that stuff. Like we're only a month into this, so it's still all baby steps, but we're loving every step. We're loving every minute of it. But yeah. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked.
Oh yeah,
but
just where does Slayville come
my
from?
my nickname. My nickname derived from one of my buddies who's no longer here. But yeah, when we were in high school, just a bunch of nicknames started getting like rolled out.
Mhm.
Had a buddy named Rez Hoots. Had a buddy named Scabs. Buddy named Ham Meat.
You guys sound like a
Red Alert. Yeah,
like a movie Snatch,
right?
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
like a bunch of Dick Tracy enemies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, yeah.
like Dick Tracy
Fuck
Road
yeah.
Gallery.
Dude, man, I watched that movie like
Dude,
3 weeks ago recently.
Dick
I
Tracy
literally bought it off of
rules.
YouTube. I love Dick Tracy.
Yeah, they need to if
Revamp
there's
that.
one series that needs to be rebooted, it's a Dick Tracy, because he had all the most fucked up like enemies and like cool looking.
His tech is out of date though.
Yeah, his tech is way out of date, but like as long as they made it a timepiece, like
Yeah.
it would work. It would work, especially with like the visual and like practical effects that we have like today's day and age. That movie was made in the 80s and it still looked good for its time, right? But
how old are you again, man?
I'm 32.
Okay,
so I'm
37.
a 90s baby.
So
yeah.
we're the
right
same. We're in
there.
the same range there.
And and so like my nickname was derived, just like my buddy just came up one day when we were smoking darts and he was like, "Hey, what up, Slayer?" So everyone was kind of like, "What the fuck?" And then it just kind of stuck. Just like really any nickname, it just stuck. And that was in like grade 10. That's like
sick.
Like it's 16 years ago now. Even like I don't even know right off the top of my head, but
isn't Slayer like a
it's
death
a
metal band?
Yeah.
Like
which is
that
ironic,
what you listen to? Or?
Which is ironic because that's what I listen to. Like all my friends are like big hip hop heads, which I am into as well. Like I listen to a little bit of everything, but like where my heart desires is like metal,
heavy metal,
like the rock, like not even rock, like heavy shit. Like I love going to the heavy metal shows around Calgary, hitting the pits and stuff like that. Like that's my favorite stuff. And so it's funny because those guys didn't really know me like that too well at that point. And then lo and behold, they're like, "Oh, you actually listen to like this heavy shit." So the nickname fit. And yeah, if you ever hang out with me and my friends, like you'll never hear Kaylon. You'll hear Slayer or Yo Slay or Yo K Slay or some shit like that. But yeah, it's never Kaylon. And yeah, that's how Slayer started. And obviously Slayer handle was taken on Instagram from the band.
Yeah.
So I just kind of had to roll with it a little bit. And my buddy Jason, shout out to Jay. He used to call me Slayville in high school. So I was like, shit, I'll just do that.
All right, sick. Fuck yeah, man. I don't know. My nickname's Chan Man, but that's literally just because everyone who's Chinese and his last name Chan, who hung out with people who aren't Chinese, all the ethnic friends, or the white people, they all nicknamed that kid the Chan Man. And it just rolls off the tongue. So yeah, I was totally like the Chan Man my entire life. Yeah, but it's funny because how that girl, like she never referred to you like as Kaylon, like just Slayville. So so that's kind of cool that your name has such a history, amongst like the people who know you and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, and it's funny because like people who meet me, it's my friends introduce me as Slayer.
Yeah.
It's not as like, hey, this is Kaylon. We just call him Slayer though. But when I moved here, I tried to introduce myself more properly, being in a new city. But
you don't go to a job interview.
But then my friends immediately were like, yo, like what the fuck? They're like, you're Slayer, dude. Like introduce people because we're not going to call you Kaylon, so people won't know who we're talking about. So
okay, well, I'm gonna keep calling you Kaylon.
Go hard, yeah. No, I'm down with either or. Yeah,
or Slayville or Slayer. I don't know, man. Like
Slayer,
giving me options
Kaylon,
now.
Yeah, there's options. Yeah.
Hey, bro. So like comedy, like what you're 32, like you just started in 6 months. Now I know you've been going hard. I can see the work ethic. Like you're putting your heart and soul into this now. Do you feel like you're kind of making up for lost time, or did you want to do this before, or like what brought it on now? You know what I mean? Like.
So, like, what brought it on is probably so when I first moved here, it was right before the pandemic. First show that I ever went to was at, it was a comedy Monday night at Broken City, which is now Modern Love.
Yep.
One of the best comedy shows that you could go check out that isn't attached to like a laugh shop or a yuck yuck's name.
Yeah.
And no slighting anybody. It's just, that's where you're going to see a collection of genuinely some of Calgary and beyond's.
Oh yeah, no,
brightest
I used to
stars.
go to Broken City's comedy night.
It's
fucking awesome.
and I've had the fortune of doing that show. But yeah, it all started just finding out about comedy in Calgary. Went to the show. It's $5, very inexpensive to go just watch some open mics and then some of the up and comings. And yeah, it eventually led to the point where I would just get drunk and my friends were sick of me being like, dude, quit talking about fucking doing stand-up comedy and just actually
go do it. Yeah.
So what happened was I Googled open mic comedy or comedy in Calgary, and the first link that popped up was Laughs. No, not Laughs. It was the Laugh Shop.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It was the Laugh Shop.
Sorry, again, this is 2019.
This was when I finally looked for comedy.
Yeah.
So I'll clarify. So sorry. Went to comedy as a viewer in like 2018.
Yeah, when you moved here, you said. But then it was a few years
2018,
later.
2019, we're checking shows out, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And then after the pandemic, I started kind of like kicking around ideas. And then I would just get drunk with my buddies, and then they were just like, dude, stop talking about it, fucking be about it.
Yeah.
So one night just Googled open mic comedy. Okay, so yeah, basically where I started my comedy is that I looked up where to do open mic in Calgary here. And the first link that popped up was the Laugh Shop.
Yeah.
So I threw my name in. A couple weeks later, I actually got an email back from Jeremy, who runs it. And he was like, hey, this is the date. Confirm. And, I was like...
Were you nervous?
Fuck yeah, dude. Like, I never thought in a million years that I would have got, like, that actual opportunity. And also, I didn't know what room I was stepping into for my first time.
Okay.
So I let that email simmer for a little bit, and I mull it over, and I'm kicking it on my computer, just fucking around, and I see on Instagram this video of Paul Verzi and Chad Palminteri, and they're talking about Paul Verzi's first time doing comedy, and Paul Verzi was like, I got this opportunity. I hadn't got an opportunity like this before. So I just did it. I showed up and did it. And Chaz was like, see, that's what I like about this guy, is that he had an opportunity and he didn't fucking squander it. He went after it. So that gave me some inspiration, and I opened up the email and I replied, confirmed it. And I just counted down the days, built my set. And
did you have any set in your mind before?
Not really.
So you're just you signed up and you're like, and then they said, hey, you down? Then you're like, oh shit, like time to make this.
I have to do this.
Yeah.
And then what started out is just like with the mindset of having it as, I'm either going to do this one time and I'm going to bomb in front of a room of 100 plus people, because again, I didn't know what the Laugh Shop was until I went and seen Mark Normand there like 2 or 3 weeks before, and I walked in and I was like, holy fuck, this is a big room.
Yeah, you literally signed up for like an actual established room.
Yeah. So, and I didn't know that, but
you're thrown in the deep end, literally.
Straight up, like right into the Sharks, trial by fire, all of that. And yeah, basically I was just like thrown into the deep end, which was fine, Who
was the headliner that night? Do you remember?
So it was that headliner was usually just a I don't even know.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry,
I don't
man.
want to
Yeah.
do the dude dirty, but like I can't even remember right now. But I think it was more so like just like a collection of like a genuine pro-am night.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
the last night that I was at Laugh Shop was Arthur Simeon was there,
Okay.
and super funny guy out of Toronto.
Mhm.
And I was actually lucky enough to go on right before him. And thankfully, I had my shit on par. And like,
Nice.
you know what? Like the last time we did the podcast, you were like, "Is it normal to like look at your phone and shit?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, you would have been proud because
Yeah.
like that's a thing. And this is what I want to clarify. When I'm doing open mic stuff and I'm doing like a smaller room, I'll look at like where I want to go for like footnotes in case I forget. So, because I record all my sets
Oh,
and then I
nice.
go back and I listen to them and I figure out what works, what doesn't, right? Like where the set went wrong, where I overextended in the joke, and
Do you
so
just
on and
put it
so forth.
on audio recording
Yeah.
while you're up? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
and then when I'm doing rooms like Laugh Shop, Cave, like the Comedy Cave or Yuck Yucks, I'll actually record because it's a little bit more of a prominent room. So if I'm getting laughs there, that's a genuine room.
Hey.
I know I'm doing a good job. Whereas like opposed to, if I'm, and these are some of my favorite rooms. If I'm doing, Rat Boy, if I'm even doing, a room here, or you got the Moonlighter, which is like a pro-am show, which is like there are great rooms around Calgary. But then there are other open mic rooms where that's what open mics for, is to help build your
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
So when you get to those big rooms, your set, it's dialed in, the jokes are worked on. So I don't even bring my phone up with me when I'm doing Yuck Yucks or Laugh
Yeah.
Shop or anything like that, because it's like I have nothing to rely on.
Hey, what's the policy and etiquette with cell phones for the crowd? Because like here we just let people do whatever. But
So
you're right. Like you're not supposed to record someone. That's kind of
yeah,
that's rude almost.
So
right?
anyone
Like,
who watches this that goes to comedy shows, do not fucking record comics.
yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Do not do it. That is in bad taste. Honestly, this is like comedy rooms and comedy shows are supposed to be a safe haven for comics to do their jokes. Yes, do comics and myself, do we tell insensitive jokes from time to time? Do we tell edgy jokes or tell, raunchy stuff? Yeah, but that's comedy. Like I think a lot of people are really tired of this whole like sensitive bullshit. That's why you're seeing a resurgence of that classic comedy.
Yeah.
That's why
Honest comedy.
yeah,
Really.
that's why you're seeing guys like, Mark Norman absolutely just slay rooms
love that
because he's
guy.
fucking
He's
hilarious.
so funny.
That's why you're seeing Shane Gillis, like
Yeah,
his
yeah,
new
oh, yeah.
special. Like he was once canceled a few years
Yeah,
ago.
in
Now he's
SNL,
one
yeah.
of the biggest comics again.
Yeah.
Like he just showed that like that time in during the pandemic when there was just a bunch of fat uggos stuck behind a computer board who had nothing better to do but just go through people's stuff and try to cancel people for fucking dumb stuff. Like, yeah, did he say something insensitive? Yes, but who hasn't? Like, let's be real with ourselves, especially me and you who grew up in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but the reality is like in the 90s, there was a lot of like words, phrasing, and stuff that we used loosely, but it was never really used in a derogatory sense. It was more so just like, hey, that shit's gay, or that shit's lame.
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
didn't use lame or gay. You know?
Yeah. No. Yeah. And this conversation's everyone who's in our age range and above they're constantly talking about the good old days because like people have to realize it's kind of unnatural for us to always be thinking about what we have to say like in that way because words were more free flowing back then and people just didn't take it to heart like that. It was just it was as commonplace as a swear word. You know, and to see how like language now is becoming whatever it is right now. I don't know when, like, apparently, though, this has happened before in history over and over. Apparently, this is the cycle of when a civilization gets, like, super prosperous. they have no real problems anymore, and then this is the problems now, the no problems,
and that's the thing. I'm not trying to say, hey, we need to go back to 90s vernacular. I'm just saying that, and I understand that, let's not be insensitive, but at the same time, if you hear a comic say something insensitive in their set, let's not chastise them and try to accost them for, telling them a joke. The thing is that they're going to hear from producers or from other comics being like, hey, just work on that joke more or write it more.
Yeah, I don't know. It like the Seinfeld guy. That was bad.
Yeah, obviously, if blatant
racism's bad,
that's not funny.
Yeah,
okay, so this is funny. Talking about Richards. I forget Michael Richards or whatever his name is.
I was going to say Kramer, but again,
Kramer. He's Kramer. So last night I did 5 minutes down at Rat Boy. And when I showed up, there was this girl there playing pool. Me and her ended up playing a couple games of pool, sit down watching the comedy show. Now, I wasn't with this girl by any means. We were just I was like, hey, let's play some pool, whatever. So the show starts, and it starts off pretty good. And then there's these two back-to-back comics who start saying some fucking suspect shit, some insensitive stuff or just out of taste stuff. But the thing is that they're literally doing their set like this. You thought I broke the illusion of doing comedy?
Yeah.
Come check out some of these other open mics. Okay, now, there's nothing against Rat Boy. I love Rat Boy. Yeah. I'm just saying that, if you go check out any of the other open mics, like a Laughs on Tap or a Speaks Easy YYC, any of those little shows, you'll see that there are comics looking at their phone doing the set, and it's like, I didn't know we were doing slam poetry or some shit like that, right? So it's like, if I lose where I'm going with my set, I'll definitely look at my phone for a quick second just to pick up where I was going. Whereas you'll see comics just go up there and just read what they wrote down, and it's like, oh, this is just a way for you to dub yourself as a comic, because you go up to a stage once a month or once every 3 months and tell jokes when it's just you being a blatant racist or just telling distasteful jokes. And or there are some comics in the scene that just use the 5 minutes as a therapy session and just just word vomit onto the crowd. And when they don't get laughs, they're like, oh, well, I know I'm funny, or they hit the crowd with that, I know that joke's funny, or I know I'm funny, or you'll be wishing I was back up here when after this next set of comics. Man. It's like, you're supposed to be a pro, right? That's what I just don't get with
that kind of reminds me of that. Remember that girl from I think it was that talent show. America's Got Talent, or what? It was the one with Simon Cowell. Was it? What's that show called? No. It's the one with Simon Cowell, though, specifically.
He was America's Got Talent.
Is it? Okay.
Because
what was the super famous one?
American Idol.
God. Yes, American Idol.
Yeah.
Remember, there's that one girl who's she was whatever. Family Guy made fun of it. They literally made Stewie walk away being like, I don't care about y'all. You're all gonna remember me. Or whatever. I'm great. I know I'm great or whatever.
Yeah.
It's screw y'all.
That whole kind of little mental breakdown.
Yeah. It was that, but and the girl was obviously from a projects of some sort, and but the way she walked off stage was so ungraceful. But she wasn't good. You know, she couldn't hit any note, and then in her mind she was great, and then she just walked off just blaming everyone except for herself. And I was just sitting there oh.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you got to take, that you got to swallow that pill, and that's a big thing with comedy. Been in it 6 months, and I've bombed my fair share, and I can look into the cameras and say I've done it, and it fucking sucks, but it's those are growing pains. And you know, the comics that go through a bomb and like look at that as like the end all be all, then yeah, this probably isn't for you.
Yeah.
Because the thing is,
You gotta be to deal with trauma, basically.
yeah, and it is trauma in a sense, but there is no bigger like showing that like your jokes need work than if you're actually trying and no one's laughing. Even if it's a small room or a big room, if you can't make one person laugh off of like your jokes, then obviously something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like I've done big rooms, small rooms, done jokes, the same jokes in those small rooms, in those big rooms, and I've got great reception and I've got no reception. But I'm not gonna go up on stage and be like, I know that joke's funny, because inside, I know I've done it at the Laugh Shop or somewhere like gone to Lethbridge or out of town and done it at like a club, and it fucking kill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I don't need to have that reassurance within the crowd, letting them know, be like, hey, I know that joke's funny. I got a laugh in Lethbridge last week with that joke.
Dude, yeah, to further on that. Oh, by the way, I keep doing the basic
it's all good. It's all good.
My legs like cramping up because I was just in the gym here doing some legs. But the thing about comedy and jokes is like, one thing I've noticed is, because I have this one funny friend, and I think I introduced you to him, and I've been trying to get him to just do a set. Just, it's exactly your friends telling you, like, because like my buddy, like, he's literally one of the funniest people I know. He loves comedy as far as watching it, but he's never done it. He's never done it properly, like the way you guys do it.
Yeah.
But like, man, like, he makes me crying laughing, just his jokes, his timing. But again, it's all circumstantial, because he delivers it at parties, he delivers it at the bar, he delivers it like just off the cuff when you don't expect it. But I can picture now, like, it might not work as a set, you know, but it could work as a set if he can recreate that moment for the crowd, right? And but all I'm trying to say is, like, I realize now from the 3 shows we've, like, you guys have put on here, is that, like, sometimes I'll laugh at something and then I don't laugh at it again when it's presented as a set. And I'm like, I was trying to curious in my brain. I'm like, I know I would have laughed at that had Buddy said that to me just at the bar.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I think that is, that's the tricky part. That's the art. The art is to make it like funny talking at point blank. Like, not, you don't need the scenario to set it up. Like, it's point blank. Like, you know, if you know, I don't know, when you're the comic. So,
yeah. So, like, dude, you hit it right on the head. Like, that's the art of it. So a lot of jokes. And so, like, a lot of people ask me, like, who would I style my comedy after? You know, like, I do like a lot of the greats, but, like, I wasn't really studying them as much as I was, like, as I do now. Like, my first comedy, like, first introduction to, like, comedy, like, albums was Adam Sandler. My older brother put me on to it. Like, Ode to Car by Adam Sandler, one of the funniest fucking songs ever. And
my girl hates Adam Sandler.
Yo, the Sandman's the best. Like, modern day Sandman is a little bit weird, but like, you can't debate Billy Madison.
Oh, God,
you know,
Billy Madison.
you can't debate those.
Dude,
like, his classics, like Eight Crazy Nights, the animated movie
Happy
that he
Gilmore.
did. Dude, Happy Gilmore, Little Nicky, like, all of that stuff is.
Who's Your Daddy? Is it
or
to call? Wait,
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy. Big Daddy's fucking hilarious. Yeah, like, all of that stuff is like anger management with, like,
I've never seen that
with
one.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah, I was thinking about that one recently. That's an underrated one.
Billy Madison, bro. I'd be crying, laugh, and like, I'm like kind of tearing up thinking about it.
Yeah,
like, I just remember. But again, like, I don't know what it was. Like my girl hates it. She didn't even laugh once. I remember watching, and we love all the same comedy. Yeah. But for some reason, Adam Sandler didn't hit for her, and I don't know why.
Like, but that's the thing. Sometimes people are just turned off to actors or comedians, and they just turn off all receptacles in any sense to them. Like, they're like, so there's an actor for me. Mickey Rourke. I do not
You
like
don't like
Mickey
Mickey
Rourke.
Rourke?
I fucking
bro,
hate Mickey
I
Rourke.
love
The
Mickey
only
Rourke.
two movies that I like of Mickey Rourke are The Wrestler,
Okay,
which he got robbed for the Oscar. I'll give it up
Okay,
to
so
him
then
for
you
that.
really like him in that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
fucking exceptional movie.
Yeah.
I'll give it up for a good movie. I'm a cinephile.
Okay.
And then the other movie that I really like, just because I'm a huge fucking nerd, comic book buff, is the Sin City movie. The first Sin City movie, him as Marv, amazing.
But you didn't like him in anything else, man?
Nah, his face looks like silly putty.
Okay, so
Like,
but again,
like-
that's it. It's because of his face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really think I've seen other stuff that he's in. I just don't really like him as an actor. It's kind of the same thing for Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman, I know he's in great stuff. He's just not my favorite actor. So when he was in Hellboy and he was just covered up in all practical, hey, I'll watch it. That works for me. But I guess back to the comedy beginning roots is that I got into Adam Sandler. I grew up on Jim Carrey.
Fuck yeah. Ace Ventura.
Yeah, Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber are some of my favorite movies of all time. Mike Myers, those Canadian guys, Norm Macdonald,
Like Austin Powers, right? Fuck
all of those guys are great. But then once I got into middle school, I was one of those guys that got on the Dane Cook train, and I bought all of his albums. The Optimus Prime joke, the kid naming kids joke, all of that shit. I was into the comedy. I've always been a student into it, but it wasn't until I became an adult where I really truly started appreciate it.
Right.
And really become a fan of it, and like I said, a student of it. So that's why I really watch a lot of my modern favorites, which consist of Tom Segura, Mark Norman, Shane Gillis, Santino.
Hey, you know what? I just thought of
Theo Vaughn.
Oh fuck, love Theo. Everyone you listed, I love. And but I just thought of a comedian that because when you brought up, you're there's some comedians just for whatever reason they don't do it for the person, right?
Yeah.
For me, for whatever reasons, and I don't hate this guy, but I'm not connected to Bert Kreischer for whatever reasons. Everyone I know loves him. I love hearing him on Rogan, just chatting as a pal. But for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. There's just something about the I don't know. Just I don't know. He just seems but I like goofy guys. There's other guys I like that are goofy that take their shirt off and are out of shape. I mean, Chris Farley, right?
Yeah.
But for something about Bert Kreischer,
he's just too much of it.
I don't know what it is.
It's just too much of it. That's the thing. I used to not watch anything Two Bears One Cave because Bert Kreischer was a part of it, and then started to see some things about Bert Kreischer, and I was like, hey, he's not
he's not a bad guy. I just don't get.
He's a good when you watch his material, he's fucking good comic. Obviously, he's a great comic. It's just I think he's it's starting to become a character now.
Yeah,
where it's really been intensified. So that's where I find a lot of people who look at Bert Kreischer, there's no middle. It's either you like him. Bert Kreischer or you don't like Bert Kreischer. There's no I think he's good. That's the thing. I'm on the same fence. Again, nothing against Bert Kreischer. He's a great fucking comic. He just his online personality just doesn't do it for me because the squealing, the pig squealing,
when he laughs to the point of pig squealing,
adds a laugh, dude. That's again, it's all part of a character. The big gut, the machine's a character.
I'm ashamed to say I actually never heard the machine story from start to finish. I know, I'm as a guy who watches a bunch of comedy, but I don't know, man. There was a video of him recently where he was working out with Arnold. Yeah. Because I guess he was in a movie with Arnold briefly. But so it was Arnold, him, and another female comedian who's she's a bigger girl with the curly blonde hair. Oh my God, what's her name?
Is it Melissa McCarthy?
No. But
Amy
if I show her, no. But she's
some other dog.
Keep listening. Maybe we'll land on. she's
Cujo?
No, she's fuck, what's her name? Like it's something majestic. Her name sounds kind of majestic. Oh my god. I'll show you after. You're like, oh, her, yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, she's bigger, curly hair, like super curly blonde hair. But anyway, Arnold was taking them both through a workout, and I just remember them both just like, I know they're comedians and goofballs, but like he's like seriously trying to teach them a little bit about how to get in shape, because like they just both like giggled their way through. Like I'm sitting there like, dude, that's Mr. Olympia.
Yeah,
that's the Terminator.
That's
like
the Terminator.
yeah, like
show some respect.
Yeah, man. Like this guy's like, you know, like at 75,
fucking beat the Predator.
yeah,
right?
dude. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, man. Fucking yeah, and like they just giggled their way and throughout an entire workout with Arnold. And I kind of thought again, I'm like, this is why I don't like him. You know,
Yeah.
like it's
And
like,
with that being said, like, is there
and
like
you're right? He was just being a character. He was
Yeah.
just being the machine or whatever in a
Yeah.
workout. I'm like, dude, like just fucking work out with Arnold, man.
Right?
He's showing you some solid like stuff here. You know?
you're never gonna learn that shit from like anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
it's art. Like you said, Mr. Olympia. Like, he's
Yeah,
the
dude.
man.
Yeah, he's the man. Bert almost reminds me of like, you remember when you were a kid, did you ever go to a birthday where there's the one kid who he's just loud and out there, but like you can tell it's just for attention.
Oh yeah.
Like you're just like, and in his brain he's like, this worked once with my mom, so I'm just gonna try this with the other kids.
Yeah.
Like, but he just was annoying. Like
Yeah.
that's what I see when Bert, like he reminds me of that annoying kid when you're a kid at a birthday party. And then,
Yeah, I still know people like that to this day.
yeah, fuck, man.
They're out there.
Okay, yeah, but hey, moving along here with the trajectory, because what do you have to say to? Because Rogan actually said that it takes about 10 years for a comic to like become like season. Like,
Yeah.
do you, based on doing it 6 months, like, do you think it's going to be, because it sounds like it's something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
For sure.
So it's like, do you think like it's going to be this 10-year journey to like achieve your final form, if you will, you know, or like, or evolve to that next peak, you know, if you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, I absolutely get what you're asking there. So like, I do. So like, I don't do comedy like just full time, like quite yet. Hopefully,
I don't know, you do 3 or 4 sets a week though.
Yeah,
that's pretty full time, isn't it?
But like, I don't mean in like the sense like where you get paid.
Oh, okay, yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so like, I still do open mic. You know, a lot of comics around here, you'll see that they're still very much like open micers. You know, headline here and there, which does pay. You know, like us, we like Laughs at Kaks is a paid headliner gig, like spot. You know, nothing out of the ordinary there. It's just. Yeah, I also do have a day, like a
regular
day job.
Yeah, what's your day job?
I do sales, retail, and I manage a store, and you know, like it's fine there, but all of those skills that like I've learned in sales and just like customer service, like it's all transferable in the sense of like comedy. You know, you're dealing with people, you're communicating with people, and like, if I sit up on stage or I sit up on like at work and I'm, you know, just sitting there, just no enthusiasm, no energy, no one's going to buy for me. No one's going to buy into my comedy. No one's going to do any of that. So it's like, it's all been very like transferable. So with my first 6 months, and like, no shame to anybody, but like my first 6 months, there are things that like I do way better than everybody else. And that's just facts.
Like what?
Stage presence. Stage presence is huge.
Yeah.
Cadence, timing.
What does cadence mean again? What
Like,
does that word mean?
How you're like your cadence, like how you're working, like your basically the flow of your words throughout your set. So you've got a certain cadence. You're not going too fast. You're not going too slow.
Tempo.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly. So like those are all things that I worked on very early on into my comedy career, I guess, right? I guess that's what it would be. But yeah, like very early on, those were things that like I was working on dialing in. You know, there's not a lot of rooms in here where you have a legit stage.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we don't have a legit
yeah,
stage.
like we don't have a stage, but like it's fine. Like I kind of like the fact that we have a little bit of a kill box where, you know, let's put meat in the seats, let's fill this place out, and let's have like the comic like right there,
Yeah.
you know. And you know, in time, if we get like a bit, like if the space grows and we actually have like a legit stage, you know, that's down the road. But what we got right now, it's very raw, and
Yeah, it's raw.
it's
That's
awesome
what I like,
though.
yeah.
But and that's the thing, like that's what comics have liked about it, is that it's a nice venue, everyone's there, you could still see the comic. You know, the atmosphere is great, the staff is great, like that's what's like, everything has worked out greatly so far. It's just a matter of getting the name going for it and
yeah.
getting the comedy going. But not to get sidetracked with the show there, but I was just saying that yeah, there are things in the comedy that again, you know, I don't take the shit lightly.
Yeah.
I do have a daytime job, yes, but I fucking work hard at the comedy.
Mhm.
And I write and I work on stuff.
Mhm.
I take stuff out, add stuff in, obviously, but
Like, and you work on it every day. Every day.
every day,
right? Every
yeah.
day,
Because like
Yeah.
I'm always like, that's the thing. I'm always reading. I'm always engaging with people. You know, I'm not just some fucking dude who just sits at home and doesn't do anything, right? Like I
Right.
try to experience things, especially even more so now that I do comedy, because those things will play into bits.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about with you and your friend.
Mm.
A lot of the stuff that I experience, I will write into joke form.
Right.
But thankfully, I have been like always a creative kid, where I've had no problem with, okay, me and like 5 or 6 of my friends were all shooting the shit, getting drunk, and we were all riffing on one thing, but what I said sent everyone laughing.
Yeah.
How do I take that little bit and how do I write that into bit form?
Right.
So how do I bring a crowd of 5 people, 20 people, 100 more, you know, how do I bring those people on the same, you know, journey in a sense when writing the joke? Because that's what a lot of it is. Like everyone has different styles. Comedy is subjective, but that's the beauty of it, is that you'll come here tonight or any Thursday, and you'll see 8 to 10 different comics, and you'll see 8 to 10 different styles of comedy.
That is
because
true.
that's what comedy is. And with myself, you know, I kind of stylize myself as like a little bit of a storyteller. You know, I'll build a story, I'll build the joke up with like a nice punchline at the end, but then also have some like quick hit zingers as well. Like I think every comic needs that, but you know, I'm more of like bring you on a little bit of a journey, paint a picture for you.
Yeah.
And kind of like Tom Segura. Like,
yeah. Or even Rogan.
Yeah. Like these guys are so good at like building a picture in such short time that like that's what I admire, and like that's what I inspire to, you know, hopefully take a little bit of that, but like do it in my own way, obviously, because every comic wants to be different. But you know, it's hard not to look up to the guys that are at the top of their game right now, right?
Yeah.
Especially as a young new comic, right?
Yeah. I want to explain to you. Well, I'm sorting my thoughts in real time here, but so last week when Spencer and Frank went up, and then we had Joe and Matt. Sorry about that, a little bit of technical difficulties, but I got my thoughts sorted. Last week we had Frank, Spencer, Maxwell, and Joe in the room here for a post Laughs at Kaks podcast. Now, I noticed with Spencer and Frank, because it turns out they've both been doing it for like 10 years plus.
I watched the episode,
Yeah, okay.
or like most of it.
Yeah. So like I noticed with those two when they were up on the stage, there was absolutely, you just from an audience standpoint, you could feel their energy was like not nervous at all. Like there was none of it. Like that's the first thing I picked up on. And then I actually had this weird theory. You notice how the mic kind of kept still cutting out from time to time? I was like, it didn't really cut out for Spencer, really. So I think, like, again, I'm not a scientist, but I'm like, I think nervous energy does something to the
It
signal.
could be like,
because
it's
like
all wavelengths, right?
yeah, like I swear, like our energy is probably like because the
Oh,
guys that cut
nice.
out the most seem like they're also the most nervous, like or not as relaxed up there, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah. So I think I just noticed and I asked those guys on the podcast, and yeah, I didn't chop out too much on the episode, but I just remember them both explaining, yeah, like they're actually not nervous. They're like,
Yeah.
at this point, Frank just says he just has to move around because the blood flowing. That's why you see him like jokingly
Yeah,
shadow boxing people.
doing
Yeah.
weird shit.
Yeah,
Like that's the
but-
thing. Every comic does that. Like
Yeah,
I do that, and I just have like myself little prep talk. I do like little pacing back and forth, and I'm like, come on, Slay, like you
Yeah.
can fucking do this. You know you can.
yeah,
You know your material. Just fucking go out there, and then it's all fucking nerves until you hear the person being like, and your next comic. And they bring you up, and then you're walking through, or like you walk up there, and then you're already in your material. At that point, you don't have time for nerves.
Yeah.
It just takes over.
Yeah, it's fight or flight. It's go time.
Yeah.
I guess all I'm trying to say is that like Spencer and Frank had no nerves. I could sense a little bit from Maxwell and Joe, but
Yeah.
their sets were still good. But that was it. It was just experience to the point where it's secondhand. I
For
think that's what
sure.
Rogan means. I think you just got to do it so much to the point where, because even podcasting, like there's like 70 something podcasts I've done now. If you look at the first 5, like
Yeah.
they're fucking horrendous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the amount of pausing I had, like the words weren't flowing naturally. I was actually thinking.
Yeah.
Like you can't be thinking. You just do. You know?
Yeah.
And like that's what I found with those guys. Like because towards the end, Spencer was on such a roll. He was just like, "Let me do 5 more minutes." Like he's just like
just wanting to,
because he's just
continue,
repping it
right?
out. It's literally just like in the gym. You're like, you're done the workout. No,
Yeah.
I'm going to do another set.
Let it
Like
continue.
yeah, like that's just what I noticed, and I don't think that thing can be sped up from observing. I think it just takes
it takes time.
hours and hours, not years. It just means how many hours can you put in. If you did it every day, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at
Yeah.
night, then you can probably speed up that time, unless you're a phenom.
Yeah,
you know?
well, so that's a thing with with my like when I got on the scene, like I just went hard. I like the first like 4 months, it was close to like Monday to Friday I was doing comedy. Every day I do my 9 to 5 and then do comedy from like 7 to 9:30, 10 o'clock. Fuck, if it was a good show, you stay, have some drinks, chit chat with the comedy, especially early on. You want to get accustomed with the crowd, like the other comics and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just like it started to like take a toll, so I had to like pull the brakes on it. But in those like first 3 months, like I knew the things that I wanted to work on. I knew like my game plan. I had an idea.
Like what were they?
Like
what were they that you knew you wanted to work on?
So again, like I mentioned earlier, is stage presence. Making sure that like my flow of telling the jokes, my cadence, tempo, all of those things, not looking at my phone for big shows,
Right.
like those things are things that I like worked on direly. So with that being said, like 3 weeks ago, I was in Lethbridge and I did their comedy club, Good Times. And yeah, had my set dialed in. I was the only comic doing 7 minutes instead of 5 because I just asked. Did 7 minutes and I fucking crushed. And it was my second time being there. And the first time I went there, I left that place in ruins. Like, it was so good because that's where I'm from originally. So I got like a bit of a hero's welcome.
Nice.
But the thing is, I made sure that I had a blistering 5 minutes and that my material was like ready for them.
Yeah.
So I just went up there and did my thing and killed,
How
which was great.
How good do you feel when you kill?
Oh,
like,
dude,
they say it's the best drug,
it's
right?
The best fucking feeling.
Yeah.
Like, if I killed, and I know I killed, there is no one in the room that can fucking tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the thing. Like, other comics, might see that response and might get jealous or might act fucking petty or whatever. Like, thankfully, you don't really experience that a lot. But there would be some people that would be like, "Oh, I was still better than him, though," and it's like, how can you dispute that when even take the people that came out to support me? How can you not say that I didn't do my thing when I had the whole fucking club rocking?
How does booze play into this though? Because I do gotta admit, so we've done 3 of these now. This is number 4 tonight,
Yeah.
right? Wow, fuck, time flies.
Number 4.
Yeah, like I do know, like, because like on Laughs at Kaks nights, I do have some drinks. Yeah, like I try not to drink every day anymore, just because it's definitely taking a toll.
Yeah.
So yeah, owning a bar or whatever. But I save it for Thursdays later on. But I do know I am more receptive for jokes as drunker I get.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
So do you think like it's almost like the headliner is funny? Don't get me wrong. No matter what, like they're headliner for a reason. But absolutely, I think if you get the very first open micer to perform at the very end, I don't know, maybe he has opportunity for more laughs. I think just because like the crowd's probably more loose, more relaxed, right?
So here's the thing with the comedy is the first spot is known as the bullet, and it's known as the bullet because you're taking a bullet spot. It's the first spot on the show. You got to open it up, and it's just the reality. A lot of people duck and dodge it, but doing the bullet spot will make you a better comic because it'll harden your nerves, because when you're doing a bullet spot, which I've had to do a few myself, and this is from experience, is that you've got to like get the crowd into it. Like the MC or the host
is like a bullet spot though.
Not really.
No.
No. The MC host is like the MC host. They're doing their job, just like keeping the show going. That's their job. Keep the show going.
But you're also releasing some of your material slowly, right? Or
not a little bit. Like, yeah, as a host, like, but that's the thing. Like Frank alluded to it in the podcast, or like the last one, is that as a host, your job is to be more fresh with material. Whereas if you're being a comedian, it's okay to be working on material, because maybe you're working on 30 minutes. Maybe you're working towards your first 45 an hour. So people are going to hear the same material from you throughout weeks as you dial things in. But that's comedy. You start to go shows weekly, daily, and you see the same comic, you will see the same jokes. Like,
yeah.
And that's not an illusion. It's not like I'm breaking some fucking fourth wall here for people. It's just like, that's the reality. People know that.
Yeah.
It's just that, as a host, as our duty, how would it seem that if people came here for the first 4 weeks and I did the exact same hosting material for the first 4 weeks, how does that differ from any other show? So that's
the host has to be new, fresh every time.
The host has to be the fresh guy. Okay. Keep things working, and that's where the crowd work can come into play. Is that like, especially open mics, a lot of these guys and girls think that like, crowd work is easy because they chat to people here and there, or they see comics do it. But it's a whole different demon. Like, that's the thing. I'm good at being up on stage and playing to the crowd and telling my jokes, because like that's what I've worked on. If I start doing crowd work, I look like a fucking day one newbie again. Because with crowd work, you have to be so quick. That's where you have to be very quick, and you have to be fucking funny. Smart with it, right? If you're gonna do it, right? Like Stavros, Halkias, one of the best.
I like Yanni's crowd work on my cousin's.
Yanni's pretty funny.
That was quick, and also I don't know, it was just so like unexpected.
Yeah. Well, Yanni's been doing it for a long time as well. Like, yeah, that's the thing, and you pointed it out. You can tell where the seasoned comic is and where the newer comic.
Yeah. Like I never really used to know that until it was only 3 weeks ago. I just really, because like I'm in the room now. It's just a feeling, like because that's it. It's like you feel you know, I mean, a couple comics last week, they literally got so nervous that they dropped their set midway and was like, that wasn't very funny, or that wasn't. I mean, but it was funny because the way they said that wasn't very funny. You know, it was an awkward funny, but at the same time, I was like, ooh, like the energy was off from the start with that.
Yeah.
You know? But I don't know how you season that without putting in the hours.
No, you
just have to put in the hours.
That just comes down to the comic sucking. You know, quitting on a joke halfway through and just be like, oh, that one sucks. It's like, fucking finish it through. Be a man. Like, have some nuts. Like, you're on there. You only got 5 minutes. Like, go through the joke. And like I said, and like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan still does this. He records and like, he records, video records his sets, and he watches them back so he can work on stuff. And like, that's the thing. I like Joe Rogan's comedy podcasts and stuff. Like Protect Our Parks is great. And like his podcast's great in general, but
it's all right if you don't like.
No, I like Joe Rogan. It's just like, I'm more of the comedy fan of Joe Rogan, right? Like he brings up a lot of great points, but it just like, it was just one of those things where he was talking with somebody outside of comedy, and he was like, this is how I got better. And I was like, cool. I never heard that before, and that was already something that I'd done early on from when I started. So I was like, one of the best does that. So it's like, that's just cool thing to kind of learn, you know, and kind of adopt, especially, again, if they're one of the best doing it.
It also validates your instincts. You're like, hey, I think I need to work on this. Oh, it turns out, hey, I'm on the right track. You know, because the people who've done this before me said XYZ, and now I'm doing XYZ.
Exactly.
I was. What was I going to say? Hold on, I had a thought that I was going to point out about people laughing. No. There has been times though where, like, for instance, there was a couple of people up last week where what they said was absolutely fucking hilarious. It's just, but goddamn, I looked around and like the crowd just stopped paying attention for whatever reasons, right? You know, and I was sitting there thinking like, man, like, please don't. I remember thinking in my head like, I hope that comic knows that one was good. Like don't think that wasn't good, because it's like you almost have to go off some of your own instincts as well, where you tell a joke, because sometimes jokes are just circumstantial.
So that's what we were talking about earlier, and what you were just talking about is that jokes in rooms can be very subjective, and sometimes your material just isn't for that room. So that's a perfect example of someone telling you, don't do those jokes. They're not funny. Don't fucking listen to those people. Keep working on your craft, because that's what you need to do. And then when you have the opportunity to do it in a big room, like a laugh shop, the cave, Yuck Yucks, and that's when you will get a real review of how your jokes are. Right. And as I mentioned, I did basically 90% of that same set in a real room and fucking got laughs. Mm-hmm. So that's what's it about. So that's one thing I want to say to anybody who does watch this. Don't let any producer try to knock you off your craft, because you're doing it good. Just make sure that when you're doing the jokes, they're well written.
That's the one thing as I was when we were heading into this project, like I was relying on my all these years of listening to Joe Rogan and him explaining the comedy scene, you know, with like back in the day versus the way he does it now, why he runs the mothership the way he does.
And we discussed this.
Because at the end of the day, comedy, you are vying for attention, right? Because you need people to pay attention in order to perfect your craft. So then, because there's this limited attention, there's this famine mentality, which is why people aren't all trying to uplift each other versus, you know, like Rogan now is trying to create more comedy. That's why he highly recommends every comedian do their own podcast. Like, it's like the whole point is you want to get rid of that famine mentality so that there is room to share.
That's why we brought this show. That's why we brought this show, is actually preaching inclusivity. Everyone is welcome to the show. We don't give a fuck who you did classes with, who, like, whatever it is.
You just gotta be funny.
If you've never, like, I'll say this right now. At Kaks Podcast, we don't want you if you're racist. if your intention is to fucking get shows canceled, you know, any of that bullshit, fucking save it for the other rooms. We're actually trying to build something legit here, where if you're gonna write something edgy, if you're gonna do something distasteful, do it well. Like, write the joke well. It's not hard. Just put time into your craft.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the thing. In the first 4 weeks, you have seen jokes, you've seen distasteful jokes written badly, and you've seen distastefully jokes written well, and you've seen how the difference is.
You know, it's also just a reflection of where people are at, per se, like with their life. And and what I mean by that is, like, I don't want to name names, but there was people at last couple shows. I was going to talk to you off air on this, but since we're on a podcast, might as well talk to you about it right here.
Yeah. Well, it's about the show.
They literally left the show after a certain comic set. And I remember being like, really? And then they're like, yeah, that just wasn't my thing. And, you know, and then I was like, but that was one comic. Like, there could have been more comics after that was your thing. You know, and then it's like, well, you know, I don't know, it just hit a nerve with me, and then they end up leaving, and I was like, oh, like, but I remember thinking in my head, like, I don't think that joke was that bad at all. But then now I'm sitting here realizing, like, but how many times have I said that kind of stuff around you casually, and you just didn't like it? So I don't know, man. Like, at the end of the day, I feel like if you're coming to a comedy show, you should, just like a movie, like, sit through the whole thing. You know,
you're coming to a comedy show.
Yeah,
like. You're gonna see a collection of comics. Yeah, some of them you might not agree on, but like, who are these people to, like, get up and be like, I don't agree with that, or like, you said that this isn't funny, and it's like, us as comics, we get that.
Yeah.
But the people sitting down need to understand it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
You think we're writing this actually to be like
mean or whatever?
To be rude and like, or fucking, like, bring down, you know, even themselves or anything like that. Like, self-deprecation. Like,
that's always been the irony with comedy, because it's like, it's supposed to be about good times, but in order to craft it, there's actually a lot of bad times. To craft a good time. I will say this though. It was a couple girls, and they just felt like the comedy was too geared towards guys, and then I was like, oh. But again, I was sitting there thinking, like, of course, I'm not going to see their perspective.
Girls, if you want to get into comedy, we're always down to take new comics. Because, so you know, there's not a lot of girl comics in the Calgary scene. So, if you want to
come on down to
fill that up, come down and laugh at Kaks, sign up. We'd be more than happy to give you 5 minutes. But the reality is, if there's not really girl comics,
then it's going to be guys,
how are we going to fill it?
Right,
you know? So,
oh, dude. Kaylon, like, keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I just remember telling, but that's what I was trying to tell these people. I was like, there might be girl comics, like, you know, like, there's a couple in the first night. In life, there's drama everywhere.
For sure.
And it's unavoidable. I mean, we all try our best to get along. And my life's not drama free either. There's shit going on all the time.
And the worst thing about this is I was unaware of this up until like a month ago. Like, I was so naive to, like, oh, the comedy scene's so great. Everyone loves everybody. And then all of a sudden, like,
you didn't know there's this beef and this.
Start finding out the beefs, and then true colors are revealed, and you're like, oh, you're actually a fucking weirdo loser, so I'll actually disassociate from you. And then you find that other people that are being, you know, kind of shunned aside, they're the ones that are actually trying to do the best for the community. Well, so
that's what Rogan was talking about back in the day with Carlos Mencia, right? Because he had a bit of star power, and then because of that, like, Bobby Lee was kind of like, had to, like, Bobby Lee always spoke highly of Carlos Mencia, but then every other comic was like, hey, this guy's literally stealing people's joke, bumping people's spots, like, just ruthlessly out for himself.
And then there's that video of Joe Rogan
confronting him, but then there's been enough evidence now.
That's when Ari Shaffir, like, he was one of the people. Ari was one of the comedians that Mencia stole jokes from when, like, Ari was still, like, coming up, new, very new,
exactly. And like, and when I heard all that, I just remember in my mind, I'm like, because at the end of the day, like, Cass and I, we all started our own bar because we want it to be a fun clubhouse type thing, right? Yeah, so. but obviously, not gonna lie, that's up to you comics to sort out that battleground.
And that's the thing.
I'll work with anyone who's but ultimately laughs at Kaks is yours and John's show. So it's like,
and that's
it
the
does
thing.
go
Like,
through you guys.
We actually, but the reality is we actually like want everyone to be involved in it. It's just we know who the fucking like we through me and John and me and Yanni and talking with a lot of the other comics and just getting a lowdown, like I said, over the last month of like what the reality of the Calgary comedy scene is that there's a small collection of comics really attached to one production. And that's why those same shows, you see the exact same faces every week because no one else wants to do their shows. Whereas every other show in Calgary, you will see every other comic come through. You'll see drop-ins from some of like actual up-and-comer comics, and you'll see drop-ins from some of Calgary's best.
Where do you think this drama stems from?
Like
in your honest opinion.
I'd imagine I wasn't around for it. It started well before I came into it, so I can only speculate that it would have started from one comic not being allowed to do a show anymore. So it's like, oh,
a show anymore?
Yeah, so it's like, you're not going to allow me to do comedy on your show anymore, so I'll start my own. And just kind of like that rivalry.
Right.
There's a little bit of rivalry, and then...
So it's almost unavoidable. Sometime.
It's just, you should be aware of kind of, the reasons why people aren't... No, that's fine.
It's the most like feminine stretch. I was
it's all good.
Yeah, my quad's killing me.
Since we are building a show where everyone can be a part of it, just let them know, hey... Maybe ease off trying to like say the N-word on stage when you're white.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that as a comic. Maybe don't say shit like that on stage.
Yeah, that's
even if it's like somehow written into the joke somehow. Like save that shit. Like save that joke for your friends. Like that's not material shit. At the show I was doing last night, there was like this complete edgelord dude who is trying to do edgy material. Like obviously you're not going to name names. It's just some open micer guy. But like this is the stuff that you'll see even in LA, New York, Austin. I'm sure those big hubs of comedy see this shit all the time. Just some guy or girl who just has problems, goes up on stage and sprouts nonsense for 5 minutes, sometimes which consists of racism, and you're just like, wow, I just had to like listen to that shit.
Yeah. No, Kaks Bar and Podcast, we support free speech, but like, dude, but like we don't support hate speech.
Yeah. Man. Exactly. No, straight up. It was fucked because it was fucked because like the worst thing about it is the joke that he was ending on was like so hacky. It was he was talking
where
about,
was this at? Can I just ask where? Because like I think I might.
So we're at Vern's. We're at Vern's for Rat Boy, which is again, it's an open mic. Sign up and go, so everyone's welcome. Great show, one of my favorites in Calgary.
Yeah,
it's just like I said. This is the stuff you will see in any city with Calgary. You'll find these guys or girls that go into a show and really have no material. They're literally just looking off of some fucking little scrap piece of paper that has footnotes.
It's like that with people who like try to sing like on American Idol.
Yeah.
All I was gonna say was I remember a couple people going to a rap battle, and then you're right. Like it was like they had nothing. They weren't rappers. And they just thought they could be good at it, and then they tried, and it just shows you again too, man. Like so many people have a distorted reality.
Oh,
so that means in their brain the whole time they were seeing themselves in this light.
They're like, I'm the shit.
Yeah,
man.
but
I'm
like
the best.
Like self-talk, good positive self-talk is important, but it's tricky if you're deluded because like if you're deluded, then that means everyone notices you're deluded except for you, but no one's told you.
Yeah.
Now as I get older, there's so many people I know who are deluded. Let's wind this down here, and Kaylon, absolutely jump back on again. Absolutely, love chatting with you, and there's no limits to how many times you can be on this podcast. But I do have a quick question about that. No, like ghostwriting, that's such an insult. Like, a comic's supposed to come up with their own jokes. Like, if someone ghost writ your joke, then you're not a comic. You're an actor.
Yeah, that's almost worse than that's on the levels of Carlos Mencia shit.
All comics don't get ghost written, do they?
No, don't come to me with that BS. That's why I'm so taken aback and I took it as the most extreme form of disrespect, because as I mentioned, the reason why I took it as such disrespectful is because I've done those jokes in a real show, a big room, and got absolutely killed.
Yeah.
And I'm not using that word loosely. I'm telling you about going to a laugh shop or a Yuck Yucks where anywhere between 50 to 120 plus people show up and actually have the entire room laughing. So how are you going to tell me those jokes aren't funny just because I didn't make your little tavern laugh?
Right.
I'm sorry. That's where my confusion stems from. It's you're gonna tell me the jokes aren't funny, but I've never seen you do a big show.
It's also fashion. Someone might be hey, that's a horrible dress you made, but then half the people love it after. It's subjective at the end of the day.
And honestly, when I do that joke at Laugh Shop, sure, do the moms and women like the joke about my mom? No. Do I like telling the joke about my mom? Yes. Am I going to continue telling it? Yes. Because it's funny.
It's funny.
It's funny. The thing is,
it's funny to me anyway, man.
No, it's funny because that's what I was gonna say. Do the women and do the women and girls that come to the show, do they like that joke? No, but do they laugh? Yes. Because that's the thing. How I've written it is that it's well written where it's funny that everyone can like it.
Yeah,
it's relatable.
Yeah, wow,
it's relatable. Everyone has.
I don't want to give away the joke.
People
you have to come down to see it.
You gotta come see the goods.
Kaylon, it's not relatable.
It is. There are points where it's relatable for sure. Okay. There are points you just gotta come down, check it out.
I laugh because in my brain it was almost like a Family Guy bit. It was a cutaway. That's what made it funny in my head. But no, man, most people don't end up in that situation.
Well, I think you're getting one part of the bit a little bit misconstrued with what else it is. But I was super stoked to get the opportunity to come down and do the podcast finally.
Oh, by the way, keep doing that joke.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, I want to hear it again. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just zoned in on that.
Yeah,
I'll talk off air on it because again, I don't want to I was laughing.
I will never I'll never spill the goods. It's like a good magician. You gotta
show up to see the trick.
See, and it's only $5. It's mad inexpensive. Don't act like you don't have $5 to come see a show. Spending money on your Starbucks, on your Tim Hortons. Come actually see some legit comedy. We're not joking. I'm not joking there. Where I'm actually working hard at bringing some of Calgary's and beyond's brightest comics to come to our show. We actually pay the headliner, so even more reason to come through, because it's people that care. Being a comic myself, I'm very passionate about it. So Shawn mentioned it early on. I put my heart and soul into this, and we're only a month into it, and it's only up from here. So I'm really excited to see what the future brings.
Absolutely. Okay. Everyone, Kaylon's information will be in the show notes there, as well as Laughs at Kaks comedy show. All that stuff will be on, and it's every Thursday, guys. 7 p.m. doors open, 8 p.m. show starts. $5, as Kaylon said, $5 whole.
$5 whole. Yeah, Blue Bill.
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave on this one thing though. Just to plug some stuff. Yeah, Laughs at Kaks, as Shawn said, every Thursday. Follow me on @Slayville, SLAYVILLE. That's where you can see all my comedy, just all my
It'll be in the show
stuff
notes
that I'm getting up to. Facebook, started that up again. I don't really use it a lot, but it's there. Also, catch me. This is the one I wanted to plug because it's huge. I will be a part of the Laugh Shop comedy competition that's going to be running over the next 2-3 months here. I will be doing my prelim show October 4th. So come check it out. Support the boy because we got 2 G's babies on the line here. So it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge fun.
And it's at which club?
So it's at the Laugh Shop, which is
Okay.
at the bottom of the Blackfoot Inn, which is right on Blackfoot Trail there. I'm doing my show that I'm a part of is on October 4th. So come in, show up. The preliminary part of the show is actually all voted by the crowd. So you choose who you want to see in the semifinals, and then the finals is actually going to be judged by a legit panel of comics. So even outside of my show, come check it out because you're gonna see fucking like the who's who and the upcoming best, including yours truly. So it's gonna be a great time.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go tuck Kaylon in for his little nap before he
Get
hosts
me that
the
rubber
show.
munch, man.
All right, Kate. Bye, everyone.
Go Birds.